Dani Fish, welcome back. Does anybody else feel like Carmela Soprano when they wear multiple gold necklaces at one time with gold jewelry? Or is that just like my own paranoia? We are continuing with our Ben & Jerry's recreation series, and today we are doing the Tonight Dough. If you don't know what the Tonight Dough is, it is actually the Jimmy Fallon Ben & Jerry's ice cream flavor. His second Ben & Jerry's ice cream flavor. His first was actually called Late Night Snack. It was like vanilla ice cream with chocolate covered potato chips, and I think there was pretzels in it too. It was supposed to be like salty, sweet. And it was named after the late night show that he was on, but when he stopped doing that in 2013, they discontinued the flavor. And then when he started the Tonight Show, they gave him the Tonight Dough, which is caramel and chocolate ice cream with chocolate cookie pieces and regular cookie dough and peanut butter cookie dough. Could there be any more in this? I don't know. But that means we have a lot to do today. The first things that we need to do is make those chocolate chip cookies. Now this recipe isn't one that's coming from Ben & Jerry's. This isn't coming from any other book. This one is completely my recipe. It is my pride and joy, my baby girl. I love this recipe more than anything. It's not too rich, it's not too sweet. It's a perfect chocolate cookie. That recipe has been up on my blog for quite some time. I will send over the link so you guys can have easy access to it. So good. Next on the agenda, we need to make regular cookie dough and we need to make peanut butter cookie dough. For the cookie dough, I went right to the Ben & Jerry's book and I used the exact recipe that Ben & Jerry's use in their cookie dough and their ice cream. So let's do that now.
We're using a paddle attachment for this entire process. So we start by creaming our butter and both of our sugars. Once that's good to go, we add in 1 egg and just a little bloop of vanilla extract. Next, with our dry ingredients ready to the side, we have flour, salt, and baking powder ready to go into our mixer in about 2 or 3 intervals. Then we separate the finished dough into 2 bowls. The first bowl we're going to set to the side, and the second bowl we're just going to add a little bit of mini chocolate chips, and then we're going to set that to the side as well. Our first portion of cookie dough goes back into the mixer, and we're adding about a tablespoon of creamy peanut butter. Give that a good little mix so it's all mixed together, and then add in some mini chocolate chips. And then you're ready to go. Look how good that looks. Then just wrap each cookie dough in plastic wrap and pop it into the freezer so it's easy to cut later on.
Next, we need to actually make our 2 different ice cream bases. So this has caramel ice cream and chocolate ice cream. Chocolate we've made a couple of times before, but caramel is a little bit new. So this starts with us making something that actually just looks like a caramel sauce and then adding more milk and cream into it so that we can turn it into an ice cream. Then once we're done with that, we need to now make our chocolate ice cream. In their book, they give you like 3 different recipes. They have Ben's chocolate, they have Jerry's chocolate, and then they have a light chocolate ice cream recipe. We're doing the light chocolate ice cream because we want those flavors to balance properly with the caramel and with everything else in it. If we did Ben or Jerry's or Dani's chocolate ice cream recipe, it's gonna be too rich and too dense, and we don't want that. So light chocolate and caramel ice cream, we're gonna start that now.
We start by adding a bunch of plain granulated sugar into the center of a pot that's on the stove in about medium heat. Spread that out so it gets a nice thin layer of sugar at the bottom, and you want to wait to touch anything until the edges of that sugar pile start to melt first. Once you start to see that brown ring form from the sugar melting, you want to push that melted sugar onto the unmelted sugar in the middle to help it melt evenly. We don't burn anything, we don't get any clumpies, and then everything will melt down nice and brown and beautiful. Once all the sugar is completely melted, we add in our butter a little bit at a time. Make sure all of your ingredients are completely at room temperature or warmer, or when you add your cream, which I'm about to do now, and it's not warm enough, it will seize the caramel that you just made and you have to sit over the pot for like 20 minutes melting everything again, which is what I had to do. Learn from my mistakes, keep everything room temperature or warmer, or you're wasting your own time. Then finally, the last step is to add some whole milk, and then we let that cool so that we can churn it. Next, we're making our light chocolate ice cream. So I start with some dark chocolate chips and some cocoa powder, and we add some whole milk to that and let that all melt down together with a little whiskey guy. Set that to the side, and in a separate bowl, we're going to whisk together 1 egg with our sugar. Once all of that is nice and fluffy, we're then going to add in our cream nice and slow and whisk until all of the sugar is dissolved. Once the sugar is completely dissolved, we are then going to whisk in that beautiful little chocolate mixture we just made. Whisk that together so everything is fully mixed, and then we're going to also chill that before we churn that. The last step to all of this is prepping the mix-ins that we just made. So we're taking our cookie dough out of the freezer, chop it up into little pieces. Nothing has to be uniform. I'm not grading you on your tiny little squares here. And then I like to just give them a good little roll with my finger so that it's more of a ball versus a square. So I do that with both peanut butter cookie dough and regular cookie dough. And then we go in with our chocolate cookies and we chop that up into whatever pieces you want to. Throw that in a bowl and put that to the side also. Because we have 2 ice cream bases, I need to use 2 ice cream machines. So we have our caramel ice cream base going into my Cuisinart Ice 70 machine, and then we have our light chocolate ice cream base going into our winter machine with a compressor. And at the end, we have our beautiful caramel ice cream and our beautiful light chocolate ice cream.
Okay, now that we have finally finished making everything that goes into this, we now have to put it into a container and then put everybody together. Freezer safe container, caramel ice cream in a bowl so that we don't have to deal with it sticking to the side of the bowl. And this is the chocolate ice cream. Cookie crumbs and both of our cookie doughs. Caramel, chocolate, and then cookie dough. If you like caramel at all, this is for you. I'm glad we went with the light chocolate instead of something a little bit richer because it would have been competing too much with everything else. It would have been too much. Light chocolate, definitely the way to go. I also like how you can't really tell if it's gonna be the peanut butter cookie dough or if it's gonna be the regular cookie dough. So it's kind of like a little surprise because you know you're getting cookie dough, but you don't know which kind you're getting. So good. Woo! That was a doozy. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. Please make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. You're following me on Instagram. I appreciate you and I love you. And I look forward to making more Ben & Jerry's ice cream with you next week.